This video, this one is for Bitcoiners. It's very important. And this is from 2019. As I said, he's pretty much talking about everything that I try to communicate through this channel in one 20-minute presentation. So there's information on your audience, normies, calling people normies. There's information on time preference and how important your online reputation is going to be with YouTube, with Zap.stream, with Nostr. It's going to be a much different world that we're moving into here. So let's watch this video. I might put it on a little bit faster speed because I do have to go here shortly. But I'll see how it is. I might have to slow it down if it's too fast. Some people sound better on 1.5. I'm probably one of those people. I talk pretty slow. So we'll see here. So this is Michael Goldstein from BitBlock Boom 2019. And I do want to give a shout out to Noah. I don't know if she's in the chat here today or not, but she's the one who sent this video to our Living in the Future group on Signal. And I watched it last night and I couldn't believe how relevant it was. Being 4 years ago, everything that he discusses in this is still very much relevant today. So I'm going to put this on 1.5. We're going to put it full screen. And let's learn how to talk about Bitcoin here and learn how important our wording is, our consideration of our audience is, and there we go.
Gotcha. All right, how's everyone doing? How many of y'all were at the dinner last night? Okay, great.
I had a lot of fun. Too fast.
That was fantastic. I don't know how we'll beat it next year, but we'll figure something out. So, like I said, I'm Michael Goldstein. Welcome to my ridiculous TED Talk. This is the art of Bitcoin rhetoric, how to meme Bitcoin to the moon. A lot of people talk about price fundamentals, all that. I want to talk about how to troll, how to go hard in the paint with no corners, and yeah, so let's get to it. So a month ago today, a pivotal moment in U.S. history occurred in the United States Congress. The Honorable Representative Warren Davidson declared on congressional record that there is Bitcoin and there is shitcoin. I share the expression of the woman on the right. Exact same feeling. We've also had guys like Joe Kernan on CNBC, Squawk Box, which is suddenly my favorite TV show. The next halving, you look at stock to flow. I'm just saying, Bitcoin believers, maximalists. But yet, $55,000 after the next halving. This is a little bearish, but okay. Which would be May of 2020. What are you laughing about? This is our meme world. Everyone else is just living in it. So we have this issue in the world where we're inundated with mass media, social media, podcasts. We have all the podcasters here today. Flocks of carrier pigeons, whatever you need to get messages across. We have overflows of information. However, our minds can only handle so much information at a time. So much information at a time, and our ability to process it all is extremely scarce. So in order to get messages across, we have to be able to create them in a very efficient and effective manner. They need to be extremely well crafted. And as you can tell, we're getting to the floor of Congress now. We're not merely playing around with magic internet money. We're engaging in advanced geopolitical meme craft. We are shaping civilization for centuries, if not millennia to come. So it is important that we get our messages right. So the path to victory. I do have to say, frankly, none of us are needed. No one person in Bitcoin is a completely decentralized network. No one person matters. This is really just all fun and games while the macroeconomics of hard money, does what it does, which is dominate. However, in the meantime, we can have a lot of fun, and we can also expedite the process by finding people at the margins and teaching them new information about what we know about the world, and also bully the people who don't agree with us. So a very important concept in sort of hello. Okay. In communication comes from Aristotle, and it's this distinction of rhetoric versus dialectic. And this is a very important thing to understand when you're engaging with various people online in the real world, anytime you're talking to anyone, really. Rhetoric is very much the art of persuasion. It's trying to how do you convince people to take up a new idea or change their minds? While dialectic is the art of argumentation. When I say argumentation, I mean that in a very sort of strict debate sense. You're working through things in a systematic, logical method. So very much like the memes would be the rhetoric, while dialectic is more of, standing up and saying, I resolve that, blah, blah, blah. So rhetoric is very good for public discussion, that is like when you're broadcasting to the world. It is good for defending or accusing. So like when people are hurling other memes back at you. The art of rhetoric allows you to defend against it like a good fencer, just parrying their own attacks, while also going hard at them as well. Dialectic, on the other hand, this systematic, logical method of finding truths, that's more good for private or academic discussion. That's good for people who you actually can agree on certain principles ahead of time, so you don't like wallow around in the mud. You both are kind of working together. You might disagree, but you're working together to find out and elucidate some bigger truth. And you have to be kind of on some same team in order to do that. So this brings us to our next point: when to argue and when to troll. Arguing, which remember, when we say arguing, we're talking about more of like a debate style thing. That's with the in group. That's with other Bitcoin maximalists. It's people who, or they could also be pre-coiners, but people who are interested in actually learning with you, like coming to that truth along with you. However, anyone in the out group, whether it's shitcoiners, multi-coiners, no coiners, journalists, especially journalists, they only get trolling. Basically, anyone with a blue check mark, until proven innocent, will get the heavy hand of absolute trolling. So honestly, there's no reason to ever engage with someone who is not willing to actually understand your position in a good, systematic, logical way. That doesn't mean that you're actually constantly always talking like that, but if they're not willing to take your ideas seriously, then there's absolutely no reason to engage them in a way that would assume them to be that kind of person. They do not deserve it. They have not shown that they deserve that. And this is actually the importance of echo chambers. People usually malign echo chambers, like how dare you, have your little, group. But it's actually a very important thing because it allows you to cultivate a group of people who share these sort of fundamentals so that you can get to the important things. And you also have a group that you actually trust to be able to give you good information and feedback on that.
Okay, that's an important part here. The first part of that is that I've been talking about staying off of Twitter as much as possible. That part there of if nobody's willing to listen to you or change their mind, then it's a complete waste of time. And also, I think that the whole echo chamber thing has been very overblown in the world, and we've kind of been told that it's a bad thing to have an echo chamber. But I completely agree with what he's saying here and how important it is. And believe it or not, this video actually came from what you'd call an echo chamber. We have something like this over in Living in the Future where there's 35 or 30, however much amount of people in there. And we're all, what he's about to talk about here is when like-minded people agree on something, they don't have to agree on everything. But if their common goal is to learn Bitcoin or whatever it is, then that is the place to do it. It's not just with a bunch of random people with different values and different mindsets than you. You have to do it with people who are where you are. So let's keep listening here.
It does not mean that everyone in the echo chamber literally agrees on everything. It means that the people in the echo chamber, are on the same team and are trying to get somewhere together. And that is extremely valuable. What was that? So that being said, when you're actually arguing with people online and stuff, you might not have the person that you're talking to might not be the person you're directly replying to on Twitter, for instance. And so you might be actually engaging with, dare I say, a journalist in a very argumentative fashion. However, really the purpose of that is to be broadcasting to others who might be looking in who want to learn from it. So this isn't completely black and white. This is to understand who is your actual audience and understand how to communicate based on that, rather than just assuming that everyone is there to find a bigger truth, because some of them just want to no coin. So what I recommend is relentless propaganda all day, every day. Pump, pump, pump. You were born to shill. Do it. And I have two rules. We'll start with one. One, there is no bad news for Bitcoin. There's never, ever been anything bad for Bitcoin. It's all good for Bitcoin. Correct. He gets it. Bitcoin Tina understands. So what does this mean? It means that all public-facing propaganda, anything you're broadcasting, should be relentlessly positive, because there's no bad news for Bitcoin. There's only good news for Bitcoin. Indeed, on top of this, we should always anchor on the most bullish position. You should never be afraid to take the possibilities to its logical extremes, because it is a possibility. And from there, work reality into your model with the nuance as necessary, as needed, and as deserved. A no coiner does not necessarily deserve to understand like, oh no, we might actually just be going to, $99 million a coin instead of $100 million a coin. They don't deserve that kind of thing. Always give them the most bullish. Let them know that their opinion is not merely wrong, it is completely wrong. So, always be bullish. So here, I have a lot of examples of my tweets. It's not narcissism. It's just I can't remember 10 million tweets, but I can remember my own. Here's an example. Bitcoin is not merely going to change the economy. No, it's going to create a new industrial revolution. It is going to reshape civilization towards a glorious future. Always be bullish. There is no bad news for Bitcoin. There is only good news for Bitcoin. So another thing with the positive memes and just getting the message out there. Trigram memes good. Three-word memes apparently very powerful. We first learned this from the art of the meme himself, the president of the United States somehow, Donald Trump, who shows what meme craft is capable of, by the way, for better or worse. Orange coin good, number go up, Bitcoin fixes this. These are powerful memes. Why, I think, is because it's so simple that to an outsider, it seems repetitive, it seems droning, it seems ridiculous. And yet for us insiders, we know exactly what it means. We know that orange coin good has, we're talking about all the ethical implications of money production. Number go up, we're talking about the fact that Bitcoin is the most liquid good and liquid goods have a positive feedback loop and all of this. The outsiders, they don't get this. They only see number go up. Bitcoin fixes this. Similarly, Bitcoin is an extremely efficient tool for the division of labor and all of that, whatever. But for them, it's just like, how do you possibly think that Bitcoin somehow fixes the food supply and modern art and all of this that Saifedean and I go on about? Literally fixes all of it, by the way. So within the in-group, though, I do want to mention this. I think when you're talking to people within Bitcoin maximalist community, you still need propaganda. Propaganda, in this sense, is a way to remind people of why we're here, keep the eyes on the prize, etc. I always think that it's important to be witty and fun and memorable and try to find these like mental models that just stick. So you are able to sort of boil things down into something that's 3 words. How do you get these complex ideas into 3 words? And here is an example of that people liked where Bitcoin governance was boiled down to simply a Mexican standoff in a memorable movie, or the geopolitics.
Sorry to chime in here again, but when we're watching this video, don't think about just memes. I know this is kind of based around memes, and that's kind of his center point for this whole discussion, but don't just think about memes. You don't have to go out and start building memes and creating memes. Just think about this as every time you communicate online, whether that's a post, a tweet, a video, whatever that is, apply these principles to that, not just the memes.
And inevitability of Bitcoin done the same. I also think that you should never tire of sharing important actual knowledge to the world. So there's no such thing as too much Austrian economics content. I need to see more Rothbard people. Get out there. So for the in-group, this is a great way to be pumping people up and getting the knowledge out that helps us craft even greater memes as we go forward. So let's go on. Relentless propaganda. Rule number 2, no coiners must be crushed. No coiners. And as a reminder, when I say no coiner, I do not mean someone who merely does not own Bitcoin. Most of those are pre-coiners. We take care of our pre-coiners. We love our pre-coiners. No coiners. No coiners are people who do not own Bitcoins and they hate Bitcoin. This is the Krugmans, the Rubinis, the Francis Coppolas, all of them. They must be crushed. They are supporters of a massively destructive economic system. It's both a historical aberration and completely unnecessary. They deserve no mercy, and you will show them no mercy. So I have a few out-group techniques that I want to talk to you about, some ways to be memeing, trolling at them, crushing them. And it's the concept of reframing, the concept of agreeing and amplifying, and the concept of dominating. So reframing. The importance of reframing is that no person in the out-group should be defining your narrative for you. If that happens, you lose. They set the boundaries for it. They tell you what is good and bad, but they're not on your side. They don't know what's good and bad. You know what's good and bad, and you get to set it yourself. So when you have Vitalik come out in 2014 talking all this nonsense about Bitcoin maximalists, blah, 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 that's fine. We're maximalists, whatever. We're going to go for it. And reframing is a way we took maximalist and we turned it from a pejorative into a badge of honor. And same with things like toxic. I've seen some toxic shirts, etc. And even here, we have to note that Vitalik, for instance, when he was saying this, was that Bitcoin maximalists are people who think that everything in the world should be on the Bitcoin blockchain just wholesale. So like Ethereum should not have been its own chain. It should have been on that. However, most of the actual Bitcoin maximalist position is that we don't need any of that at all. We just want digital cash. And so if you were to fall into that frame, you're suddenly arguing that, oh yeah, we need Ethereum stuff on Bitcoin. No, we don't. We set the boundaries of what we actually need, which is we need a sound digital money for the digital age. We set the frame and we take the term. So another way to reframe is anyone who is anti-Bitcoin is actually a Bitcoin accelerationist. So when Donald Trump gets on Twitter, as he does, and he says that the Fed should basically just be destroying the dollar even further, clearly the man is way more Bitcoin maximalist than I could ever dream of being. As I say, we all need to learn to hate the USD as much as Donald Trump does. Anytime someone does this, Mnuchin, same thing. He's trying to talk about like money laundering stuff. Clearly, he just cares about that stuff, and he's pro Bitcoin, and he's just wanting to make sure all the Bitcoin maximalists get to do their thing. Here's an example of why you cannot let people define the narratives for you. It's extremely cringeworthy. When someone else gets to define the narrative for you, and you become the sort of weaker frame in that meme war, it's cringy. He's calling him a shitcointologist, which isn't even a good neologism. So do not let others do it. If that happens, you lose. So let's go on. Agreeing and amplifying. There's a lot of different stuff you can find online about this, but like basically in the context here, when you're memeing about Bitcoin, it's basically you accept correct, but incorrectly labeled bad premises, and then further, you take it way farther than they even thought. And the classic example that I'm sharing here is when people talk about Bitcoin and energy production, they say, oh no, look how much energy Bitcoin uses. But once again, this is also a bit of reframing. They kind of overlap. They think that energy production is bad. I, on the other hand, I've read Saifedean. I've read The Moral Case for Fossil Fuels. I know that energy production is actually synonymous with human flourishing, and we're going to take this thing all the way. So Bitcoin is not like the fact that it only uses, as much as the country of Denmark or something like that. We need to pump those numbers up, people. We need to get number go up so we get more mining, and we just, we need Dyson spheres around the sun. We're going to soak up the entire energy of solar systems. And we're going to do this. And so what you do, we've agreed that Bitcoin, we don't say that, oh, no, actually look at the, the banking system actually uses a lot of energy, and look at the military, how much they waste. It's like, no, we want energy production, and we're going to take it all the way. So that is agreeing and amplifying. Dominating. Remember, no coiners are supporting a massively destructive economic system. They're paid shills. This man is paid to tell you that inflation is good, that fiat is good, that 9/11 might actually cause an economic stimulus because look at all the broken windows. Literally, go look up his column right after 9/11. Meanwhile, being nice takes energy. And frankly, they haven't shown why I should expend that energy. So these people are the enemy. People like Krugman especially, these blue check marks that get paid to pump up such a heinous economic system, and they deserve nothing but extreme scorn. And then on the other hand, you have the no coiners of Wall Street and stuff. These people should be made to feel pain. They have been, many of them have been making fun of Bitcoin for so long, and meanwhile, we're doing great. Number go up. So they must, the more pink Wojaks you can create in the world, the better. Angry pink man, good. So another thing I want to get to, because in the course of human events, you find yourself having to insult people just for fun and games sometimes because they deserve it. In this case, I just woke up on the wrong side of the bed, and this was the first thing I saw that morning. But it is important to understand in the course of online discussion, because this comes up all the time. People will like accuse you of like, how dare you throw ad hominems at me? Ad hominems are, an ad hominem is rejecting an argument merely because of the person who says it, which is to say that logic is somehow different for them because of the preconditions of their existence. However, clearly that's not actually true, because logic is just logic. And there is, dare I say, an objective truth. An insult, on the other hand, is treating someone with rudeness or contempt. It's severing a tie with them in a very blunt fashion. There's a huge difference. In fact, there's a great online article years ago called the ad hominem fallacy. And it's all these examples of how people take insults and mistake them for ad hominem. So in this case, my tweet sums it up, is that's not an ad hominem, you idiot, it's an insult. So it's important to know the difference. Like I said, being nice does take energy, and not everyone has shown that they are capable of having discussions about Bitcoin in a logical, systematic method And thus, they have a higher threshold by which they need to reach before you show them, the kindness that they think they deserve, especially when they're pumping scams that are in direct competition with yours, and likely massive malinvestments that are, on net bringing harm to the economy. So it's just good to know the difference on that. So anyway, moving on. No apologies. There's never a reason to have apologies, especially with the no coiners. We were all no coiners once. I was skeptical of Bitcoin. I thought that it was a fiat currency because I hadn't yet, fully understood what it meant to be fiat. It wasn't merely out of thin air. It's that it's by decree. Satoshi, praise be upon him, he might be the only one who was never a no coiner. Maybe Hal Finney as well. But they will learn, and this might not be because someone was insulting them online. It could just be because Paul Krugman goes to the newsstand one day and they were no longer accepting his precious dollars that he desperately wanted to get rid of because of his own economic policies, but that he is forced to use Bitcoin. They will have to learn. If someone is unwilling to take on your such intolerant, toxic opinion, then they're also not going to be the people who can take seriously actually correct, but perhaps unpopular opinions. And so if they are treating ideas with such contempt, you can't expect them to be able to take it to its full extent in the first place. They simply, once again, have not deserved yet to have actual discussion. They need to prove that they're capable of it. So in a nutshell, reject no coiner orthodoxy. Do not fall into their frame. Do not show them mercy. Always remind them that number go up. Orange coin good, number go up. So some requirements for successful memeing. Knowledge. You need to study hard. You need to read the books. You need to read Mises, Rothbard, Hayek. You need to Hoppe. You need to read, the classics of, computer science and, networks. Everything that goes into Bitcoin. You need to fully understand if you want to actually have yourself armed to be able to go out and meme. You can't merely show up and just be an idiot. You will be found out. Likewise, you need to find actual truth. There's plenty of methods of trolling online that require knowing nothing about anything and certainly being far from the truth just because you want to get a rise out of someone. However, that's a very short-term thinking thing, and we'll get to that. I think that it's more, I'm calling for ethical trolling, a conscious memeing, if you will. So it's important to always be right. Finally, you need confidence. You need to be able to stand up for yourself and the ideas you believe. And you have that confidence because you studied hard and you know it's the truth because you did the work. Yeah, you proved your work, and it comes out in a nice little meme. So time preference. Of course, I have to bring this up. Can't go with a talk without mentioning it. Meme craft does not transpire in a day. So it took years for us to go from calling Litecoin a shitcoin in 2013 to it being named as a technical term on the congressional floor. So because of this is also why it's so important to stick to the truth because it gives you this long-term focus that drives you towards good, valuable content for perpetuity. So I do want to just bring up, just to drive this home, I really do think that being truthful is more important than just merely getting a rise of people online. And Alexander Solzhenitsyn has a fantastic essay called Live Not by Lies that he wrote after the gulags, where he took up the cause of rejecting all falsehood in his life, even at some personal costs. And this meant not reading any lies in the newspaper, not telling any lies, always taking on the truth, even where it had the short-term costs for him. And quite frankly, it's in your advantage to not read the news anyway, because it's full of blue check, no pointers, spreading lies about Bitcoin in the first place. So in summary, you can be the virgin arguer, trying to suck up to Paul Krugman with a
Okay, that's good enough for today, I think. So, a couple things there to note. I'm going to stop sharing that because it's draining a lot of it's heating up the laptop here. So, a couple things I want to talk about after that speech or presentation. Number one, that was my third time watching that clip. You don't have to watch the last 10 minutes there. I don't think there's some information on what books he suggests and some questions from the audience, but you can't really hear it anyways. So I highly recommend going back after this, after my show or later today, whenever, and rewatch that. And don't think about it through a meme perspective. Think about it as a communication perspective and everything that you do. And a couple things that I got from that is the first one, and I actually saw this post on Nostr today, and I wanted to talk about it because it pretty much embodies this thing. And you don't have to be very artistic or know how to use Photoshop. And the funny thing about this is I'm sure if somebody popped onto this stream this morning and saw, what was that last title there? requirements for successful memeing, and we were watching a video on that. They'd be like, what the fuck is going on? But it's important. So this is an example that I actually saw on Nostr today, and I thought this was perfect to share with you today because it's exactly what we're talking about here. It's not a meme. Somebody took, and I should give a shout out to him. His name's Leo on Nostr. And basically what he did is he just took a tweet that said, can someone please explain the difference between the mafia and the government to me? So it wasn't his tweet. He took somebody else's tweet. He put it into a picture, clipped, like he cropped it. And then his next 9 pictures on here are pictures of replies from people. So his first part there was, can someone explain the difference between the mafia and the government to me? And then he goes through 9 different comments, the best comments from it. So one says, the mafia doesn't make me do any paperwork. The mafia will generally leave you alone for a while after you pay them the extortion fee. The mafia does not expect you to thank it for robbing you. One is an organized crime syndicate, and the other is an even bigger organized crime syndicate. The mafia isn't pretending to help you. So the mafia doesn't follow you around telling you what to do after they steal your shit. And the mafia doesn't pretend to be your friend or pretend to hold elections. So a perfect way to do it. He took information from Twitter, from somebody else. He put that into a nice little post, cropped it out. It probably took him 2 minutes to do, but it gets the message across. After reading that, you see, yeah, maybe it's not so different from the mafia, which is a bit of a stretch, especially for a lot of people who aren't in this mindset yet. But that is the way to communicate to people who aren't there yet. Second thing there I wanted to talk about was on the show, I've been talking, well, I did talk about in the past that we shouldn't be calling people normies anymore. I think it's just a non-productive way of referring to people who don't own Bitcoin yet. And I really liked how he defined it himself. He said that there's no coiners and there's pre-coiners. Pre-coiners are our friends. They're the people who are open to learning, who are wanting to explore about money, about Bitcoin. Those are pre-coiners. No coiners are the people who don't own Bitcoin and hate Bitcoin, go out of their way to tell people how bad Bitcoin is, even though the majority of their discussions, their conversations have zero actual knowledge behind them. Those are no coiners. So pay attention to that when you're interacting with anybody in real life or online. Are they a pre-coiner, a no coiner, or a Bitcoiner? And then you can kind of navigate based off of that. And I do agree, we shouldn't give any sort of mercy to no coiners. They're either getting paid or there's some sort of reason for them hating Bitcoin so much without having any sort of level of understanding on it. And the last one here, he talked about the time preference. Nothing happens overnight. Not when you're building an audience or a community, whatever it is. Nothing happens overnight. And you have to focus on the truth always. Because I'm sure you've seen it, whether you're watching TV, YouTube, when people are lying to you, it's very easy to tell. They're looking away from the camera. They're touching their nose. It's very easy to spot when somebody's lying to you. And when you know somebody's lying to you, you just stop listening to them. So if you are somebody who's trying to build an audience or community, make sure that you're very truthful in everything that you put out, because people can smell the bullshit pretty far away. So be truthful, be genuine, and be yourself, because people can figure it out pretty fast. So there's a nice comment I think we'll end on today, because I am late. I have to jump over here. Daniel says, keep it up. You'll jump to hundreds of thousands of subscribers soon. Appreciate that, my friend. But the goal here, like I've said, is I'd rather have 1,000 people who get it, who want to be here, instead of 100,000 people who are just on the internet doing things on the internet. So I appreciate that. I'm going to put, let's see if I can do this. This is the Twitter space I'm jumping over to right now. Where is it? I'll see if I can paste it in here. This guy's, like I said, I met this guy yesterday. I didn't meet him, but I met him online. Let's see if that works. I'm going to put it on zap.stream, and you can actually click links on zap.stream and copy and paste them. So all you got to do right now, this second, if you want to join us over on Twitter, on the Twitter space, we're talking about go over to just click on your browser, go to zap.stream, and you should be able to see this video pop up right now. And I just posted the link for the Twitter spaces in there. So I'm hoping some people, because the show ended early today, you guys will just join us over there instead. So with that, I hope you all have an amazing Tuesday, the best Tuesday of your life today. I appreciate you all very much. And we'll see you over on Twitter, maybe. Hopefully you'll join us there. Bye-bye.